Hello, beautiful people. I hope I'm live. I just had some difficulties, so I hope it's working now, but it seems to be working. Welcome back to Conscious Champagne Chat number 22. We're going to have a very short one today. And the topic for today is why kids trigger us and what triggers actually really mean about it ourselves. So I'm going to give you a bit of an intro to that. Hey, Natalie, or Natalia, I think it is. Great to have you guys. Let me know when you're here, when you're popping on. I always love to interact with you. So every parent, right? Every mom, we want to raise happy, chappy kids, good humans, that are confident, that are self-responsible. But the truth is, parenting is an emotional roller coaster, and sometimes it is very draining, right? And so even with our best intentions, we have days where we just literally screw it up. And what I've learned in my parenting journey is that actually these days, when we are being triggered by certain behavior from our kids, are the most beautiful days if you're open to start looking at how triggers can actually help you. They're actually really, really the most beautiful days for you to start reparenting yourself and start connecting with your kids on a completely different level. So why are we being triggered? And by trigger, maybe I should say what I really mean by a trigger. So a trigger doesn't necessarily have to be related to a trauma, which is like kind of the classical definition of a trigger, right? There's a lot of trigger warnings and stuff like that. That's not what I mean. Any kind of behavior that is causing an emotion inside of you that is either annoying, is upsetting you, sort of what we talk as, like what we consider the negative emotion, right? That's already what you can look at as a trigger. So in our kids, it's typically our kids whining, our kids not listening, our kids showing us an attitude, siblings fighting, bedtime, morning routine. Like there's a whole bunch of scenarios that typically trigger annoyance in us, frustration in us, upsetness in us, and then it ends up in, for example, yelling. So that's already what I would consider a trigger. And so why does it happen that when our kids, for example, when they're whining or when our kids are not listening to us, what is actually really happening and why does that trigger us? And so a trigger always connects to a previous wounding that comes from your childhood. Think of it as it literally stimulates a thought feeling circuit that has been established inside of your body and mind at some point in your life. If that circuit is not there, you cannot be triggered. That's why, for example, you have two people, the same situation. The one person is super relaxed and calm, and the other's like, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. We're all upset. And it is because literally there is no previous association in terms of a previous emotion inside of that body that can be triggered. There's nothing that resonates. But if there is something inside of you that resonates, you will get triggered. And it doesn't necessarily have to resonate with the same event. So for example, if your kids are not listening to you and you've already asked them 5 times to go and do something, and then at 6 times you just lose it and you start yelling, what is actually really happening? What is going on? It's not necessarily that you're being triggered because you've gone through the same experience of your kids have not listened to you. It's actually what is happening is that it's literally pushing the button of an old wounding that was established in your childhood that says, I was never listened to. Nobody cares what I have to say. And you were not heard, and you were not listened to when you were a child. And so what's happening, and this is all happening subconscious, you guys, but what's happening is that thought, feeling loop inside of your brain is literally being stimulated by your kids all the time, like all the time. And because we never learned how to deal with our emotions, we only learned how to, all the bad emotions, like push them aside. Don't be angry, don't be upset, that's not good. We are not conscious of it, and so we get triggered. It literally stimulates that response because before you even can take control over it, and before you even know, you yell at your children because it's so literally painful. It's so painful what is happening that the yelling stops the scenario. And by yelling, we stop the situation and, it ends up in a disaster for everybody. Kids don't feel good. You don't feel good. Usually when we yell, we also enter into, after the yelling, the shaming comes and then the guilt kicks in. But we've never learned a different way. We've never learned a different way because we've never learned how to deal with our own emotions. So your kids, every time you get triggered, your triggers have nothing to do with your kids' behavior. I really need you to understand this. Triggers are always about ourselves. They're always about our own internal wounding that we have inside of us. And that's why when you understand that and when you really embrace that concept, you then start realizing, oh my God, triggers are actually the most beautiful gift the universe has for you. Your kids are here to heal you, you guys. Our kids are here to show us there's a different way if we are willing to listen. So the triggers, when we start paying attention to them and flip them around in us and understand what's actually really going on. Why am I yelling? What am I thinking when my kids are not listening? What am I really feeling? And when you do that double check, you'll actually realize that what they trigger is helplessness inside of you. You're powerless in that moment. You don't know how to fix this situation. You don't know how to get them to listen to you. And because you feel so helpless and that helpless child is being triggered inside of you, that helpless child that needed help from an adult when no adult was there, you yell because it's so painful. It's literally like your body's going and again, this is all happening subconscious, but that's what's psychologically speaking really going on. And so whenever you get triggered, it always relates to you, and it always relates to an energy, an emotional energy that is residing inside of us that needs to clear. And that creates your own reality today. And it puts you in a situation that you can only see the other person as the cause for your pain and not yourself as the cause for your own pain. And that's when we keep blaming, our kids, and we try to fix our kids so they can get better. That's when we then start reading books and looking into how do I get them to listen? How do I get them to listen? But the only thing you actually have to do is to start paying attention to your triggers. Really start paying attention to them. And what we do in the Rapid Anger Relief Mastermind is we start paying attention to every damn tiny little trigger that is there. Because when you pay attention to your triggers, and when you then clear them out of your system, when you clear the underlying energy out of your system, my friends, you become a free person. A person that can manage any kind of emotional hurdle. A person that can cope with any kind of stressful situation, because you understand when your kids are not listening, it has nothing to do with them. It has all to do with you. But because the wounding is still in there, right now you can only, the coping tools we have are you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. So that's what's happening. But when we clear the stuff inside of us, we can show up completely different. And we can then start looking beyond our kids' behavior and actually see what is the need that is not being met on their end. But right now, most of us struggle to do that because we can't even see our own need that we have. And when we can't see that, we stay on the surface. And we just keep judging on the behavior. So when you get triggered, start paying attention and really look into, need to see what we're going to talk about tomorrow. I'll put a note. And really start paying attention to what are you really truly feeling? What are you really truly feeling? And what we use in the mastermind is a technique called RMM tapping to actually get rid of the underlying emotional energy and then anchor in what you want. Because your triggers are here to help you create the person you actually want to be. You just got to start looking at them very differently. All right, my friends, I got to run. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about when your kids show you an attitude. Again, what does that mean and how do you deal with that? Because I see that a lot in the parenting that, oh my God, my kids are out of control because they're showing me an attitude. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow and I will be seeing you back here. Take care. Bye.